formation is turning back towards you now, just about to reverse the turn, before it turns away for the diamond bend. Still in diamond, watch how the stem appears to move forward to form Concorde. And right at the back of Concorde, representing the four large engines, are Reds 8 and 9. On the right is Red 8 Flight Lieutenant Ian Smith. Ian's in his third and last season with the team, having previously flown the Jaguar. And to his immediate left is Red 9 Squadron Leader Gary Waterfall, also in his third and last season with the team, and he previously flew the Harrier GR7. The formation is turning towards you this time, just about to trail blue smoke for the Concorde bend. Each Red Arrows pilot is a volunteer who would have flown some 6 years on operational aircraft before being selected to join the team. Out of the 30 to 40 pilot applications per year, we select only 2 or 3 pilots to join. So as you can imagine, competition for selection is fierce. Back to the aircraft off to your left now, as they change into feathered arrow formation. Approaching from their left, they're just about to reverse the turn and trail white smoke this time, and they'll fly past for the feathered arrow bend.
Holding the belt, round, tight, circle.
Formation called Apollo coming up now, which is named after the famous Saturn space rockets of the 1960s and 70s. A good one for the cameras. Simon will demonstrate this as he brings the formation back towards you, this time for the Apollo bend.
Circle, holding the belt, round, tight.
Selected for the Red Arrows, each team member will serve for 3 years before returning to operational flying or instructional duties. Within the team, we have pilots who have flown operational missions over both Bosnia and Iraq. Another unusual formation coming up now, named after the famous American lunar landing module, the Eagle. And there you are, the Eagle has formed. And so if you look to your left now, Simon is bringing the formation back, just about to reverse the turn, this time for the Eagle bend.
Circle, then holding the belt, round.
Another unusual formation called Delta coming up now, which entails 5 aircraft flying in line abreast. This is undoubtedly the most difficult formation for a pilot to fly, and working hardest on the outside of the formation will be the 2 wingmen, Reds 4 and 5. On the extreme right of the Delta will be Red 4 Flight Lieutenant Andy Evans. Andy's in his 2nd season with the team, having previously flown the Jaguar. And on the leader's left as they return is Red 5 Squadron Leader Andy Lewis. Andy's also in his 2nd season with the team, and he's previously flew the Harrier GR7. A good one for the cameras. The formation now turns towards you for the Delta bend. 23014. turn this time for the Big Vixen bend.
Circle. Keep holding the boat. Now, tight.
One no white, one. They now turn towards each other for the 4-5 cross. Keep your eyes on Enid off to your right-hand side now. They'll pull up to the steepest climb they can because of the cloud base before repositioning to return an inverted V formation. Again, this is for the aircraft only 8 to 10 feet apart. Aircraft follows the leader as he turns away from you for the whirlpool. Reds 1 to 5 pull around 5 times normal gravity here, and they'll change to white smoke as they move into an echelon formation. Return for the spectacular corkscrew. Reds 7 and 9 will counter-rotate around the smoke left by Reds 6 and 8, and hopefully you'll see why we call it the corkscrew. Time for new. They now turn away from you to form a rainbow. Left and right, synchro are racing towards each other for more close passes. Pulling around 7 times gravity here, let's see how close they can get to each other over the far side. Now come to the finale of our show, so please keep your eyes open. And here comes synchro. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, may I present the 1999 Red Arrows.
That truck you see heading down the runway, Mike Denton is flying the Jeep. Dave Evans flying the Decathlon, and if they can get things right, hopefully the decathlon will land on top of the flatbed there, but as you can see, he's just testing the conditions at the moment. And as I was speaking to Dave earlier on, he was telling me that the conditions today are going to prove. Now, let's see if they can get it synchronized together. Having another look at it now, touching down, matching speed. Will he make it? Will he make it? Has it go? Hoping not to slide off the side. Oh, the wind is just catching him there, and they'll have another go as it can. 65, 70 miles an hour. Mike accelerating. See if he can match the... Dave is going as slow as he possibly can overhead the car. As you can see, Mike is now beginning to match him. Will he do it? There he comes, just about there, a little bit more, 2 or 3 feet. Just about there. Oh, he's touched it. Bit of a nod. Well, that's not too bad. Left-hand side, you can see the bunker formation team about to get airborne. And we just give them a couple. Now, Carl Bucker designed the Young Man in 1934 as an aerobatic and basic trainer. And it was quickly adopted by the German Sport Flying Association, in which many of the future Luftwaffe pilots learned to fly. The type equipped the German team at the 1936 Olympic Games, the only year when aerobatics featured as an event. When the aircraft was originally designed, it was a conventional single-bay biplane with fabric-covered wooden wings, a welded steel tube fuselage, and around that then was the wrap of the fabric, and just up around the engine and cockpit area they had Lloyd alloy. Although we have no real idea of the figures of the amount of aircraft that were built, but the aircraft was also built in Hungary and Romania. Some of the aircraft, 100 to Hungary and the same number to Romania. And also 75 were licensed built in Switzerland. Quite a lot of them were also built in Japan. Nearly 1,100 were built there, used as a basic trainer as well. And they were in production on behalf of the Japanese Navy. Now, the aircraft was used throughout World War II by the Luftwaffe, and it was then replaced by a much improved Bucker 181. And it was used for traditional roles. For example, would carry a bomb load on board, and they were used by night to maintain non-stop harassment over Soviet lines. Like many of the basic classic trainers, it survived the war, and they were also built in Czechoslovakia during the 1950s. Team at his earliest taste of flying was in a stump at the age of 15. His aviation career started at age 20, and after a period as a flying instructor, he gained his professional licenses. At present, he is also a training and oil systems. For you with Pete Brand and Juliet Alpha, and coming in from your right hand side, you've got Chris Beale on Bravo. Particularly Pete when he was in the Air Training Corps. But over the years then, with formation training, they've decided to get together and form the team. They both have the young ones themselves, who are both going to display individually, and seeing as how they work for the same company, they now fly the same airplanes in their spare time. They thought, well, you know, it mightn't be such a bad idea if we get together and form this unique young man formation team. And as you can see, there's colour scheme on the aircraft today as Pete Brown brings it into land. Tricky today in a tailwheel biplane, landing in these tricky conditions. But as you can see, no great problem to an expert. A lovely greaser at the end of it. The colour scheme, as I said earlier, were Ned made, as he's now followed by Chris. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, as they taxi in, particularly to the boys and girls, how about a big wave to our intrepid aviators of the Booker formation team. And let's see what's going to happen next. Runs in next to the 𝐘𝐿. He will now show us some fast and furious aerobatics with this very fine aerobatic aircraft. Now, of course, his display today will be tempered somewhat by the cloud base. Speaking to him earlier, he was telling me he may have to throttle back as he climbs up so that he doesn't find himself running into the base of the clouds. Brian is no stranger to us here in Newtownards. He's been here before with the Stamp, also with the famous Rover Extra team with John Taylor. And here he is again with the latest version of the Extra, the 300L. On this aircraft compared to the Extra 300 which we had here last year, if I remember correctly, is the fact that this is a low wing compared to the Extra 300 which had a mid wing. Now, according to Brian, this makes it a bit easier in landing because with the mid wing construction, just as he was about to flare, he said himself, like the world kind of disappeared. He tended to lose sight of the runway, so he used to have to look to the side to judge the landing. It's a high-performance aerobatic aeroplane. The aircraft has a phenomenal 3,200 feet a minute rate of climb. And he can climb the aircraft at a 45-degree angle. Now, when you think about it, when you go on holidays and you're flying down to the cost of fortune or wherever, when the chaps take off, they might just pitch their aircraft up to around about 15 degrees. But Brian, you take off in full swing, will pitch this airplane up into 45 degrees, climb away quite happily at 3,200 feet a minute. And at times here, as you can see, climbing vertically and maneuvering in the vertical as well. The aircraft has a roll rate of 400 degrees per second. And from a standing start to about 60 knots, it will do it in around about 4.5 seconds. For those of you who do a little bit of flying, the aircraft will get airborne around about 80 knots. He approaches to land around about 85 to 90 knots, and it will stall. That means it will stop flying when the speed comes down to a leisurely 55. Now, the aircraft, because I'm flying in the vertical. Now, inside the aircraft, he's got £7,000 worth of avionics and electronic equipment for navigation and all that sort of stuff. But at the base of these, the end of these rods, you might just see them, what he calls our shoelaces. And they are a very, which he thinks perhaps it's a world record for an individual as regards display flying. And as Brian brings the extra back to complete his display, we hope you've enjoyed the kind of expert we have here today in Brian tonight for another display. I think later on this evening perhaps, somewhere down south in the UK, but I know they're displaying tomorrow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested in some more information, don't forget the program is on sale. Have a look around for some of the program sellers and you get more information on our particular acts here today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Spitfire and Harvard formation. And coming into display first then, we'll have Anthony Hudson displaying the Spitfire. And this is a Spitfire T9. Problem with the left-hand undercarriage on the Spitfire, and we're just trying to get that sorted out. So what we're going to do now is James will finish up his display now in the Harvard. He'll be coming back into land now. He's called downwind for landing, so he'll be on the ground now within about 1 minute, and the Spitfire will be coming back in again so we can ascertain the situation regarding the undercarriage. I'm sure you can understand, ladies and gentlemen, you will be a little bit disappointed, but these are very special aircraft. There aren't very many of them around, and we do tend to try and make sure that everything is in working order, 100%, and the same goes for Anthony, obviously the man who owns the aircraft, and he'll bring it in, and we have a couple of our experts here on hand today who will be able to have a look for him. shall we? How about a big round of applause and a wave over to Anthony that time? Just about to get airborne. This is the Dornier Schlepp. Now, although it may look ungainly with that rather long beak in front of it, Clive Davis, the pilot today, tells us that it's a very manoeuvrable aircraft. Slightly different note from the engine, as you can see. This is a turboprop aircraft, although it did start life as a piston-engined fighter bomber. Now, for those of you who may have the brochure, you'll see that it says here that some aircraft have ambiguous backgrounds, and the C-36 fighter bomber built at the 𝐘𝐿 factory near Bern in Switzerland is such an aircraft. In the 1930s, the German company Dornier was prevented by the Versailles Treaty from building aircraft in Germany, so it was building them in Switzerland instead at the 𝐘𝐿 factory. The outbreak of World War II led to an urgent order for 150 aircraft for the Swiss government. And the prototype aircraft flew in May of 1939, powered by an 850 horsepower engine. Now, this particular aircraft was built in 1942, and it was the last of the batch. And it started life, as I said earlier on, as a fighter bomber, and it was fitted with machine guns in the wing and also a gun pointing out through the spinner. And it also had a rear gunner as well, and hard point on the wings for weapons and munitions. By turning it into a turboprop. And it was fitted then with a cable drum fitted in the rear cockpit, which had 2,000 meters of cable, and behind that then they would carry the target. Now, the cable comes out a large duct fairing under the rear fuselage. And an interesting demand, about 300 litres of fuel per hour, and it'll cruise along merrily at 184 knots. And as you can see, its slow speed handling characteristics as well are quite impressive. I suppose when you consider you are trying to pull a target along and to give the trainees an opportunity to shoot at the target and not at the white blue yonder. Utterly team, and we'll give the team a chance now to get themselves airborne. And Mike Denton has swapped seats now from the Jeep into the Stearman. During the display, again it will be limited somewhat by the weather conditions today. Mike is having to assess it all the time. But our intrepid wing walker, Julia Pendleton, is strapped to a swiveling ring in the centre of the top wing. And she'll be waving enthusiastically at you, as you can see, both upside down, sideways, and every other way. So don't forget, give her a wave back, because she certainly can see you all, and particularly to the boys and girls that are there. They really enjoy to see the young people here enjoying the show.
That's awesome.
Now, the aircraft is a beautiful example of the boat. Now, when doing the full display, the full gravitational forces on Juliet standing on the wing will be between +4 and -2. today is the fact that now Juliet will have to come down off the top wing and back into the front cockpit for the landing. You can probably see her now unstrapping, moving in, waving out towards us. So don't forget, everybody, let's wave out to Mike and Juliet as they make their way along the crowd line. Now, because of the weather conditions here, beautifully decorated Stearman into land, and I understand it'll be heading up towards the static, so it'll give you a chance to go up there and have a look at the airplane and meet the team. For a change, as John Webb gets the Blenheim Airborne about to commence his display. Lord Rothermere, who was then the proprietor of the Daily Mail, expressed a desire to obtain an airplane for his personal use, one that would be fast and spacious. And this would have been the first corporate aircraft built. Basically, he wanted an aircraft that would be fast, that would accommodate a crew of 2 and 6 passengers, and it just so happened that the Bristol Airplane Company had already drawn up the outline of a light transport in this category. So the original prototype was then built, and it was first flown in April of 1935. And such was the performance of the private aircraft, shall we say, that it was some 30 miles an hour faster than the prototype of Britain's most recently procured fighter. So when the Air Ministry saw this, they then pricked up their ears, became interested in the aircraft, and finally the Blenheim then entered service with the Royal Air Force. Now, this is the only airworthy Blenheim flying in the world today, and it was restored and built up by John Romain and his team at the Aircraft Restoration Company at Duxford. Those of you who are interested in the aircraft will realise that the first one, unfortunately, met with an accident at Denham, and the aircraft was completely destroyed, but I'm happy to say that the crew now has appeared on the display scene. You may remember it was here before, painted in the all-black colours of a night fighter, and this particular aircraft now is painted to represent the Blenheim 4 of 254 Squadron, Coastal Command. Now, the aircraft was used extensively during 1940 and 41 in anti-ship. Has been in this colour scheme for almost 3 years now, and when it comes in for the winter maintenance programme, it's going to be repainted in a different colour scheme to represent a different squadron. And in fact, John Romain was telling me yesterday that they have already painted the aircraft in a water-soluble paint, whereby they would be able to get the early photographs of the aircraft in the new scheme ready for the advertising brochures for the display season next year. Now, the aircraft today has been flown by John Webb. John has flown the aircraft here with us before in Newtownards, and John is currently a training captain with British World. He's been with them now for the past 11 years, although at the moment he's flying with Go Airlines. The reason being for that British World are shortly introducing the Boeing 737 to their fleet, and John, who's a training captain, is now with them gaining experience on the type. John started like everybody else who's an aviation nut, got into flying early on. He got his license at age 17. He bought his own Tiger Moth, which he sold it on then, got into the display sequence, and then became a founder member of the Diamond Line. He used to fly occasionally for them, and then he flew to Harvard with the Harvard formation team, the Beech 18, and he was then Lee Proudfoot. Other members of the team today, we have our Colin Swan, who's with us from ARC. He's one of the engineering staff, who's an avionics specialist, and he's also involved in the sheet metal work and engines. He's ex-engineering branch of the Royal Air Force, served from 1971 to 79, mainly with the transport fleet, working on the VC-10 Britannia and Belfast. And just the final pass now of the Blenheim. Also part of the team, we have Ian Arnold, who's a volunteer with ARC, and he's a mechanical design engineer, and Dave Betts, who sometimes fulfills the air gunner sequence on the Blenheim. So completes now the Blenheim display. Hope you enjoyed it. And the boss man now from ARC is just holding short in the Trojan, and he'll shortly be getting airborne to display this aircraft for us as well. So it just gives you an idea of the kind of standards that John Romain rebuilds aircraft to. And because it's such a unique aircraft, it's a very popular airplane at our displays throughout Europe and the UK, and long may it continue so. As I said, just the only flying example of this type still flying today. Some of them still in museums, but it's nice to see them in their natural environment and displaying for us here today, again at Newtownards. Radial engine as John Romain commences his display in the T-28 Trojan. Now this aircraft was developed to replace the Harvard, which we just saw display earlier on. And originally it served with the aircraft were modified partly in the States and at aviation in Saint-Nazaire in France. And the modified version with underwing armament and armour plating became the T-28S, the Fennec or Desert Fox. 145 of the aircraft were delivered to France, and they served in Algeria, Djibouti, Indochina and Chad, as well as in France in the training role. Now, the US had also noted the capability of the aircraft, and this aircraft in fact did serve, and it's, as I said, it's been repainted in the desert camouflage scheme of International Air, and as I said, the French then christened it the Desert Fox. Now, the aircraft is owned by 4 commercial pilots, all of whom are delighted to be associated with an aircraft of such outstanding flying qualities, and they also hope to enjoy seeing the first example when they bought it on the display circuit. And all experienced pilots themselves, and including Martin Willing, Ray Corston, and ex-colleague of mine, Tim Dara, and we just see John now as he brings the T-28 in for his final landing. On our course. Now, I did tell you it was... Now, this particular aircraft was one of the third production batch of 56 F Mark IV aircraft, and was built by Hawker Aircraft at Blackpool in 1956. did service with the Royal Air Force, but was then transferred to the Fleet Air Arm at HMS Condor in Arbroath. When she finished her military service with the Navy in 1970, she was purchased by Hawker Siddeley Aviation and converted up then to a Mark 58A, and in 1972 was delivered to the Swiss Air Force. During her time with the Swiss Air Force, she was used for banner towing targets, and they had a winch mounted on the starboard inner pylon. Fortunately, being a target towing aircraft meant that she was infrequently flown, and by the time she was delivered to Dunsfold for private ownership in 1966, had only amassed a little over 1,600 hours. She was acquired in 1997 by Jonathan Whaley's company, Heritage Aviation Developments Limited, and was registered, those of you who are interested, GPSST. It was restored by Jet Heritage Limited at Bournemouth. Flown by Jonathan Flapjack Whaley. He was born in 1948, the son of a Yorkshireman, lifelong passion for aviation, and after his father served in the Second World War, he became an aeronautical engineering officer. Jonathan then started his flying career. He joined the Navy himself then in 1965 at the age of 17. Completed his officer training at Dartmouth. He had about 10 hours flying experience in Tiger Moths there. Then he went on to RAF Linton on News for his initial flying training on the Jet Provost Mark 3 and 4. After he gained his wings then, he carried out his advanced flying training on the Hawker Hunters at RAF Brawley in South Wales. Then he went on to 738 Squadron, flying the less powerful Hunter GA-11. And it was during this time that his addiction to the Hunters started. When he moved on to an operational squadron, he was flying the Vixen, and he later then moved on to the Phantom.
I need him to hold to the south of the airfield.
Now, of all the military jets that Jonathan has flown, his favourite is the Hunter. That's the reason why he acquired one for himself. Overstressed two sets of Vixen flaps. And apart from gaining the nickname Flaps, his commanding officer ensured that Jonathan became an expert on the installation and mechanical operation of the Vixen flap system, hence his call sign Flapjack. And 3 months later, he told her he was off on an 11-month cruise with the Navy. His operational tours have taken him to South Africa, the Far East, Australia and New Zealand. After a spell on the Vixen, converted on to about 4K test flights and aircraft undergoing modifications at Yeovilton. And because he wasn't getting enough flying with the Navy, he then took up gliding and glider towing. He left the Navy in 1973, joined the family business which had no connection whatsoever with flying, and shortly thereafter withdrawal symptoms then set in. So then he tried his hand at competition aerobatics, and he moved from beginner to unlimited class in 2 seasons, picking up 2 championship trophies on the way. He initially started competing in the Cap 10, and then he bought Tony Bianchi's Cap 20.
We want a stroke for Hunter to go due west and due southwestern.
And as he waves goodbye to us, making his way back towards Aldergrove, we hope you've enjoyed this display by a rather special looking Hawker Hunter, and of course the display pilot today displaying it very well despite the very adverse conditions, Jonathan Whaley. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you look to your right, we welcome Tornado into the display. Well, I did tell you it would be a little bit noisy as he makes his entrance, and why not? And the aircraft today has been flown by Flight Lieutenant Andy Myers, and in the back his navigator, we've got Flight Lieutenant Chris Stradling. Known as the Multi-Role Combat Aircraft, or MRCA, is built as a joint venture between 3 nations, the UK, Germany and Italy. The Panavia consortium started the program in 1969, and the first aircraft flew in August of 1974 at Mansing in Germany. Now, in simple terms, the UK builds the front and back sections of the aircraft, Germany builds the middle section, and Italy builds the wings. Most of the systems are multinational, with only the computer software being specific, doubles up to £16,000. You can see the afterburners when they're on. You'll see the flames coming out the back of the engines. Additionally, the engines are fitted with excellent thrust reverse systems similar to those applied on airliners, and gives the aircraft the ability to land on very short runways. You can see the wings have been swept back now for a high-speed pass. Now, the aircraft today has been flown by Flight Lieutenant Andy Myers. He was born in 1968 in Keighley in West Yorkshire, and he was educated at South Craven Comprehensive School. He was a member of 264 Squadron Air Training Corps in Skipton and was awarded a 6th form scholarship, enabling him to gain his private pilot's license at age 17. After finishing his A-levels, Andy joined the Royal Air Force in 1986, and he completed his initial officer training at the Royal Air Force College in Cranwell. After flying training on the Jet Promise and Jetstream, Andy was then posted to the 360 Squadron at RAF Witten, flying the Canberras in the electronic warfare training role. He was then posted to RAF Brodie to fly the Hawk as the unit test pilot. 96, then Andy was posted to the Tornado Qualified Weapons Instructors course, and on successful completion he joined the staff of number 15 Reserve Squadron as an instructor pilot. Now, his daily job involves the training of student pilots and navigators in all aspects of weaponry, tactics and air combat, and he's got over 2,300 flying hours, of which 1,300 are on the Tornado GR1. Andy is 31, he lives in Eglin with his wife Jo, and he enjoys most sports, but especially keen on golf. And the 1999 season is his first as the Tornado display pilot. Now, in the backseat we've got Flight Lieutenant Chris Stradling. Now, the Tornado is flown by a 2 crew, and it has to be flown by 2 crew. It's a very complex aeroplane. In its normal role, even in the display role, you do need the backseater, because his job then is to aid the pilot in timings and positioning of the aircraft. Now, Flight Lieutenant Chris Stradling, he was born in 1963 in Manchester, and he was educated in East Anglia and Edinburgh, where he was a member of 288 Air Training Corps Squadron. He was awarded a flying scholarship in 92. He got his private pilot's license at Perth Aerodrome. Then after finishing, he joined the Royal Air Force in 84, and he completed his officer training also at the RAF College in Cranwell. Now you may have noticed that the wings can be swept forward and aft. In the forward position, it enables the aircraft to fly at slower, manageable speeds, and when they are fared back, then it brings it up into the high-speed regime. The weapon racks are also devised in such a way that even though the wings are being swept, the racks will always point forward. Is a tornado weapon, works with the Tornado Weapons Conversion Unit, and he's an instructor navigator. And his job includes the training of prospective tornado aircrew in all aspects of tactical flying, including bombing, strafing, air combat, and evasion. And he's over 1,900 hours on the Tornado. And it's a final opportunity now to see the Tornado.